Welcome to That Annuity Show, the podcast that will make you an expert in explaining annuities to your clients. Give us 30 minutes each week and we'll shave hours from your client presentations. Now, here's your host, Paul Tyler.
Hi, this is Paul Tyler, and welcome to another episode of That Annuity Show. And if you listened last week, this is our first two-part episode. We're part two of part one. Ramsey, welcome back.
Thank you.
Same place. We're missing our other two co-hosts because they didn't come back. Yeah. Oh, it's the same day. All right. So we're back here. Anyway, we had a great discussion. Okay, going with Alex and Wade, and we're going to keep rolling. But for those of you who may have missed it, don't want to turn back. We had a great discussion last week, Ramsey, right, on just personality. Do you want to set it up and set this one up?
Sure. So I just want to remind everybody that our guests today are Wade Pfau and Alex Murguia, who have, as I said last week, have tremendous history in the space. Wade has published many, many books. I'll say again, he's a Princeton Tiger, so it always makes Paul and me happy. We sort of really got off to a really interesting place with last week's conversation, because really we kind of focused on the importance of style with respect to individuals and sort of their retirement strategy. And we as we went down that path, we realized, wow, there's actually another important element here is what that means for the advisor in terms of advisor fit, in terms of advisor effectiveness. And so that's what we're going to dig a little bit more into today. And look, we think this is really valuable information for the people that listen to this podcast, because every one of you out there in the audience is trying to figure out how to bring relevant solutions to your client. And what we're learning here today is that the first part is making sure you have the relevant client. So with that, I'm gonna send it back over to Wade and Alex to pick up where we left off. So Wade and Alex, please do a quick reintroduction of yourselves, shorter than last week, because hopefully people are coming back for the second time. But rock and roll, Wade.
Absolutely. I'm Wade Pfau. I'm a professor of retirement income at the American College and director of our Retirement Income Certified Professional Program, and also wear a lot of other hats, often shared with Alex in terms of retirement researcher and the RISA, which is the Retirement Income Style Awareness. And Alex notes it means smile in Spanish. That's another part of why that name is so nice. And Alex.
I'm Alex Murguia. I partner with Wade on a couple of ventures. Since this is the abridged version, I just want to push back on my Ivy League colleagues here and put a shout out to City Universities, Boston University, and George Washington University.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
Yeah. Well, Alex, you left people. Actually, I helped do that. You left them dangling, from that branch. Okay, about where we're going to head. And I'm just going to sort of see this conversation with a nod back to one of our other guests, Joe Jordan. You all know Joe, I'm sure. Wade, you've I'm sure crossed paths. When I worked with him back at MetLife, this was years ago, he used to say, the biggest predictor of what a client bought was the advisor or agent who showed up in the door, what they were comfortable doing. And, it is. Like, you listen, if I know how to put, this type of a faucet in your house, guess what? I'm probably going to try to do it to Ramsey's as well. So talk to us, Alex. Step back. Talk to us about where are you going with the research?
Sure.
Now, you talked about clients. How does this fit with an advisor?
Yeah. At the beginning, when we did the RISA research, which was retirement income beliefs and picking a strategy, we're thinking from a practical application. Okay, this is good. From that standpoint, but I'm running an investment advisory practice. I'm running a financial advisory practice. What can I practically also do with this information? And so we decided to add effectively like a prospect qualifying tool or a relationship management approach guidebook, if you will. And we wanted to take what type of variables help determine a relationship that would be prosperous, or how to qualify prospects in a manner that we can then put them on certain paths. based on their own proclivities. And so, in addition to the RISA variables that we studied, we created a few psychological variables, if you will. They were retirement income self-efficacy, and I'm not going to speak too much about it for the interest of time. Just catch the last 30 seconds, I guess, of the last podcast. Retirement income self-efficacy, advisor usefulness, financial bias. We created a financial bias scale. Numeracy, Dunning-Kruger, which is a self-awareness measure of your level of competence, and we chose numeracy to assess that level of perceived competence, and inertia. We wanted to take those variables, and much like there were two main factors with probability, safety first, and optionality commitment for the RISA profile, there are two strong factors with regards to who is most likely going to use an advisor or utilize an advisor. And no surprise, advisor usefulness. And we were surprised there wasn't anything out there that kind of really formalized this, but advisor usefulness really just asks point blank there's a set of questions determining how useful do you think an advisor is from a cost-effective standpoint. At the end of the day, that's where it lies. And so you combine that with retirement income self-efficacy. Is how useful? How successful do you think you will be in overcoming your retirement income challenges? And so if you really think about this from a matrix standpoint, right, now with your consultant hat on, create a matrix, you have advisor usefulness at the top and bottom, and then you have self-efficacy, low self-efficacy on the left, high self-efficacy on the right. You create 4 quadrants, and the reality is if you're high in self-efficacy and you think an advisor is useful, you're most likely going to be a quote-unquote collaborator. Makes sense. And from that standpoint, what does that entail? That's somebody that wants to know how the clock is made, sees themselves as a partner in the advisor, with the advisor, really is active, wants to know all the options and how the advisor came up with that, and even wants to provide input towards that. You get that kind of vibe. Now, on the other side, let's say you think an advisor is useful, but you don't have a lot of retirement income self-efficacy. Now, that's not a competence issue. That's just, I don't have time to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm retired. The last thing I want to do is this. I don't want to give myself another job in retirement. Or, listen, numbers aren't my thing. That's not mine. I don't want to do it. I want to know what time it is. I don't want to know how the clock is made. That's a delegator, right? Those are delegating relations. That they want to, you need that trust, and you need that sort of, level of competence. But at the end of the day, it's really your delegator. Now on the bottom, if you're high in self-efficacy but low in advisor usefulness, I think an advisor is good, but you know what? I can learn it myself, and I can get to the same place, net of cost. That kind of thing. I'm not here to argue yes or no. I'm just trying to get your profile, right? That's a do-it-yourselfer. That's somebody that sees retirement. Look, this is my job. The price that I pay for an advisor, heck, I can just spend that time myself, and here I am. And so that's a do-it-yourselfer. And the validators is what we would call somebody that's low in self-efficacy, but doesn't think an advisor is very useful. And in that situation, those are folks that don't want an ongoing relationship, but they're going to have inflection points due to milestones in their life. Right? Oh, I got to make the Social Security claiming decision. Oh, I got to look at this Roth conversion issue. I got to think about a QLAC maybe later on down the line. Those are folks that want to just huddle up with an advisor, do a plan, get some good advice, and then implement it themselves. That kind of thing. And so what we did is, in looking at this was actually highly predictive of if you were to have an advisor as well. If you run a logistic regression off that and ask them, okay, do you have an advisor, yes or no, etc., it was in the high 70s, like 78%, predictability around having an advisor. And then what type of relationship you would have just depends on where in the quadrant you were. And so this allowed us to do quite a number of things. I've spoken a lot, so I'll just give it a little pause. Wade, you want to add to that?
I think you got it right, and I know as a psychologist you're using a lot of terms, so if anyone was wondering what Dunning-Kruger meant, I had to learn that along the way. And we see that in the news a lot now, though. It's the idea that if you scored poorly, like you scored that you have low numeracy, but you're asked, how did you do? You think you did really well. And those who actually scored quite high on the numeracy test, when you ask them how they did, they kind of underestimated their performance. They thought they didn't do as well as they really did.
Interesting.
And that's something like we could see that exact relationship showing up in our
we
study
replicated
as well.
that study to the T.
So it's interesting listening to you describe those. I think it was four different sort of versions, right?
Exactly.
There's a financial planning model for each one. I think the economics are different for each of those. I mean, like number 4 in particular, that's somebody that could do with a flat fee or a per hour model, and then there are others for which an AUM model would make sense. And when I think about when you see how people run their businesses, they don't always have that flexibility. So there's matching of personality, there's matching of so style, if you will, right? But there's also
absolutely.
this matching of do you have the right business model that allows you to capture all those various opportunities?
I think you're 100% on target. That made us look at our own business and realize, okay, what do we want to do here? And I get the whole pick a niche argument, and our niche is retirement income. Listen, we have Wade, we have Babe Ruth here. Why wouldn't we focus on retirement income? That's our specialty from that standpoint. And so from there, does technology allow us to serve, if you will, a delegator? Well, backtrack a little bit. They take the RISA. We know how they want to source retirement income. So we can select a nice nurturing path with regards to how they want to source retirement income. Check that box. Now it's how do we want to communicate with them, from that standpoint. And whether you're a delegator, collaborator, self-directed person, or a validator, those personas, do we have an offering for them, or do we even want an offering for them? Because some of them you may not want to deal with. And so what we've been doing is it made us rethink this. Okay, we give a prospect the RISA, but we also give them that matrix with regards to self-efficacy and advisor usefulness. And if we know that they're delegators, then the next path that they will have is an advisor will be offering them a meeting to talk about their particular way that they want to source retirement income. Why? Because they just want to get right to it. If they're a validator, we didn't do this a year and a half ago. We started offering one-time planning services. And we've realized our conversions went well. That was a huge boon for us in terms of revenue stream that we've added. You have to fix your back office to accommodate for that and to scale it, but it can be done. And once you do that, it just created a nice servicing option for these folks. And we found if you do a plan, the conversion from that is actually quite high relative to a cold lead conversion. So it did really well. Now for the do-it-yourselfers, for the self-directed, and we do for the validators, we also created with Retirement Researcher a membership site where it's just education focused. Think of it as masterclass, but for education. And we created an own business around that. It's not a hey, here's this for free, do it, and you're no. We charge currently about $500 a year, and we have a significant number of folks that are on it that is generating right now a profit, and it's a nice business from that standpoint. But the beauty of it is it creates a nice ascension model. If you're a delegator, you really want to consume as much information as you want, and so through our workshops, through our e-courses, through our office hours, etc., have at it. It can scale. We can do the one-to-many pretty well because of technology. And so it's have at it, but what happens is enough folks raise their hands. And even if they don't raise their hands to speak to an advisor, it's fine. There's an economic exchange of value. Not a problem at all, and it scales for us. But it creates that nice pathway. Wade, you want to talk about your experience in dealing with these different personas and what you found?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like the do-it-yourself community is who that membership website, because that's always been my readership. I don't really write for the introductory level. So, a large part of the readership I've been able to build over the years is more in that do-it-yourself mindset. And so, the Academy website is an opportunity for them to look at the whole backlog of all the workshops and the webinars and everything we've done and get the information they want in much greater detail to do their planning. For a lot of people, personal finance is actually a hobby, and that's really who that do-it-yourself community with that high self-efficacy for retirement income planning, that's who we're talking about.
Yeah, well, you talked about your natural audience, Wade. So if I've mapped if I've got a big enough firm to have offerings in all these quadrants, can I train, a Wade to work in all four, or do I need a Wade in box one? I've got an Alex for box number two. where does the actual person fit in this as an advisor?
Something that we could tell from the study is that the delegators, collaborators, self-directed, and validators, in addition to how they want to interact, they have different pain points. What we've noticed, we asked about retirement income concerns. What is your biggest concern with regards to retirement income? And we based it on the 4 L's, wage, retirement income optimization map, where it's longevity, liquidity, lifestyle, and legacy. What are you concerned about with regards to retirement? Because one thing that I ask about goals, and I get it, everyone wants the second house, et cetera, but it's really what are your concerns with regards to this? And we found that delegators have significantly higher levels of longevity concerns. Longevity and liquidity concerns. So if, let's say, someone comes through and there is this person's a delegator, my meetings shouldn't necessarily be about lifestyle and this, things along those lines. Not that they wouldn't, but you know what I'm getting at. The focus is really about that base layer, that base longevity concerns. You're not going to have a negative bequest. It should focus on being able to address those issues in addition to liquidity issues. Validators, it's the same thing. You see this liquidity is really a strong concern that you want to address. With collaborators, yes, running out of money is important, the same way that having oxygen is important to us, but it's not a concern right now. I'm not worried about running out of oxygen within the next 5 minutes, that kind of thing. And so with those folks, what you see is that lifestyle goals are a significant concern. And so this begins to help you ascertain within the meetings what are some pain points, what are things that should be discussed more often than not. So it's beginning to give us that, this study kind of is coming to a conclusion. So it's beginning to give us that ideation around that.
So one of the things that sort of struck me about this entire conversation, and Wade, you said it sort of early on, maybe it was in the last episode, is that there's many paths to retirement sufficiency, right? And we spend a lot of, I say we, because it's we as an industry spend a lot of time competing with each other around one style or another, but what we're all really competing against is inaction, right? And so really what the what's fascinating about this is it's reframing the competitive framework here, which is what is the right style to get for the client, the strategy, and the advisor, so that the client takes an action as opposed to not taking an action. And I think that's really remarkable. And as I was thinking about what is this like? I thought first, is this the Myers-Briggs of the space? And now I'm thinking it's Match.com. I'm thinking you guys are eHarmony, right? Maybe that's where this is going, right?
Yeah, no.
Is that crazy? I mean.
Yeah, it's like back to the grad school days at Princeton. We learned about matching models and search models, and we're trying to bring greater efficiency to. Right now, if somebody starts thinking about retirement, if they're reading a personal finance blog or listening to the local advisor's radio show or just hearing commercials on radio or television about different aspects of retirement, if they just start looking into these things as they come up, they don't really have a systematic way to approach this. They might unintentionally end up in the wrong kind of strategy because it's just really all they had available at that point. And then ultimately they might change their strategies, or they may not feel comfortable with the strategy, and it's just not efficient.
Yeah.
And so to the extent that taking the RISA can then help better align professionals with consumers with strategies that resonate for that consumer, hopefully a byproduct of all this will be people getting better matched to the right strategies for them.
Okay, so my next question, I could do a riff off of what you just did, Ramsey, but I want to keep this right
Please don't.
But let me just put this, and matchmaking, Wade, you mentioned this. Sometimes they're more than, it's more than just matching one person with one. There's family involved. How does this factor in? I think I've got this single person, but
that's a great question. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. We get that question from couples, and sometimes the question is, should we take this together? And the answer is no. We think each person should take it separately.
In different rooms.
Right, really, because they don't want any influence on what they're doing. It really should be their RISA profile. And then if they both have the same RISA profile, wonderful. If they don't have the same RISA profile, which is quite possible because usually when you marry someone, you're not thinking, okay, how are you going to want to source your retirement income 20 years down the road? So then it becomes an issue of how can we strike the compromise there, or how can we figure out something that's going to work okay for both of you when you're not in the same style. And that's a back and forth.
Yeah.
There's no easy answer to it.
Yeah.
Well, and I go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to
Alex.
say, Wade, you may want to speak about the beauty of that. I think the RISA has done for us with regards to this is that everything is on a spectrum, right? We don't think that, okay, you're here and that's it. There's different degrees of annuities. I mean, there's different degrees of variable annuities and the levers that you want to press and so forth. And so let's say, for argument's sake, somebody's in the time segmentation category. And then, incidentally, you're going to have to listen to the previous podcast to catch what we're talking about. Let's say someone's in the time segmentation
Please,
category.
what?
Yeah.
You can
That's
quickly
my plug.
describe what that looks like. You can quickly describe time segmentation.
Okay.
Yeah,
like bucketing, right?
Yeah, time segmentation, bucketing, exactly. And in that sense, from a RISA profile, you're high on optionality and high on contractual income protection via safety first. Okay, and so let's say you're in the bucketing somebody's in the bucketing, and somebody is in income protection, which is high on commitment orientation and high on safety first. And so one of them, for argument's sake, one of them is more inclined to do a SPIA, if you will, for essential expenses, and the other one's more inclined to do, if you will, a short-term bucket strategy for essential expenses. Well, now you have a basis for trying to meet in the middle. Before it was just, okay, you're 80-20 investment portfolio, I'm 60-40, let's do 70-30. It still bypasses completely the retirement income strategy. It's kind of senseless to do that because you're talking in different units. And so here, now you can come to a strategy that meets in the middle that can satisfy both. We've done these. We have to think about an output. We're not there. How would an output look like? But we've done, we've had plenty of meetings where there's a husband and a wife, and we just look at them side by side. And when there's discrepancies, we hash it out. And it actually gives a language. I think Wade has mentioned this, and it's in a previous interview, but all of a sudden people are coming to us, talking to us in this language. Before of just saying, hey, should I do this? They're saying, I'm a safety first, optionality-oriented person, should I do this? I'm time segmentation, should I do this? I'm income protection, should I do this? And so we're able to now create this framework in which we can begin to discuss this in a manner that's useful for couples to kind of not meet in the middle all the time, but, see where this is within the spectrum. And all we're trying to do, because I think one of the questions we get all the time with regards to matchmaking and this or that, to play off of that concept, is people are asking us, how do I transition into retirement? How do I put it together? I've read your stuff, Wade. What do I do now? How do I put it together? There's that just moving forward. What's the next best thing? To borrow a phrase where I think Steve Gresham uses that a lot. What's the next best step? How do you put this together? Is you start with, what is your style? What are the strategies that match that? And start the analysis there. Don't go get a dissertation. Don't go get a PhD in, don't go to Princeton and get a PhD in economics and read up on, a pile of books. Start from here. Bottom up. Start from here, and then if that doesn't work economically, then concentric circles build out on that. But that helps from a matchmaking standpoint because now that person knows where to start. They know what advisor is going to really resonate with them best.
Yeah, that idea of the terminology I think is really helpful because really these concepts were so nebulous, and so there wasn't a way for people to talk about commitment versus optionality or safety first versus probability based and so forth. But now putting a language on that, now you can understand where each party's coming from, and hopefully that will also help with identifying the compromise strategy. And it's been really rewarding as well. I had the retirement planning guidebook come out, and as those, you can see it in the reviews on Amazon about it. It's great to see, somebody's writing, I'm an income protection person, and such and such and such, and it's having people feel comfortable in owning their retirement income style. It's really rewarding to see that happening. And I think for couples, it's then providing a foundation, too, for understanding where each other's coming from, because now you understand this idea, this kind of internal thought process you have. Now you can compare and contrast that with the internal thought process that your partner has. And that's a great step towards finding a solution.
So you've just identified a vector that some people can have to this, what is so far an exclusive platform, right? So it's by invite only, but I guess you can get an invite if you buy Wade's book.
That's right.
Velvet rope. Well, what it is we're again, this started for us internally, right?
Yeah.
But because of the inbound, we realized there's a tiger by the tail here that we
no pun intended.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Oh. Again, I'm not a Princeton guy. I was a GWNB, not knowing. We caught a tiger by the tail, and so it was. We started to really build this out. We are going to have a full-on release late October to the advisor community, and then concurrently we'll release it to the public because I think it's just a great tool for society in general. What we're realizing is that, listen, there's a lot of ways to get it right. Just letting people know that annuity actually is a viable option for you, and this is why. It's not. I'm not using the word annuity. I'm saying, listen, this is how you like to source retirement income. What allows you to source retirement income in this manner is this, regardless of what it is, and being able to just point that out to somebody, I think is significant on many levels. But the advisor release will be. Wade and I are gonna do a retirement income challenge, if you will. Late October. What's the date on that? Wait, I should know, but I'm blanking out.
The 25th and 26th of October.
So describe what the challenge means. What is that? So who are you challenging? You're challenging advisors or individuals? And then how do they take you up on that challenge?
Wait.
Well, yeah, we had done a challenge for individual consumers already and had 350 people take the RISA through that. But the advisor challenge, October 25th and 26th, it'll be a 2-day, 2 hours a day. The first day introducing all these concepts we've been alluding to and discussing today. And then the homework for that night will be to take the RISA yourself and to understand what your style is. And then the second day to then go into more detail about the reported results and what you can do with that and make use of that.
And how that matches
yourself
strategy.
as well as for your clients.
And then we talk about how we're using it.
Yeah, and we'll put all these links in our show notes. So,
that'd be great.
For people who are listening, check. Just open up the podcast, click on the links, and we'll kind of lay these all out in a way that you can get access to books and this program. This is great. Now, do I get a badge if I complete this?
Yeah, is it just out of curiosity? Is it paid? Is it a paid event or?
No, this is for free. We're providing this now. The idea is at the end we'll have the promotion to actually, if you want to buy the program, for your firm, go ahead. To independent advisors. Concurrently, we're speaking with quite a number of institutions for a formal institutional release, and that's already in the works right now from that standpoint. But we really wanted to just put this out to advisors as quickly as we can. I think it's a good grassroots movement, if you will, to just put it out there for the independents and also for consumers. I think this is something that consumers are, just by looking at the reaction from Wade's book and how folks reacted from the beta release that we've had within our own internal membership, it's been really well. We're data driven, as you can imagine. We do a lot of survey monkeys. If you take the RISA, you're going to get a survey monkey 2 days later or something like that. And from 1 through 4, it's a steady 4.3, and we even do a net promoter score off of that, and that's been in the mid-30s. So we feel very, very good with this. And if you go to risaprofile.com and you just look at the reactions that folks have had, we're like I said, I think we're fortunate to have struck something whose time has come, idea whose time has come, and it just makes sense. Sometimes Wade and I talk about research and what makes good research, and I think it's sometimes what makes really good research is when you source something that was implicitly accepted. When you kind of quantify, you're like, yeah, you know what, it makes sense. It should be like that. And I really think, if you really take the concept of, okay, probability, safety first, optionality, commitment, yeah, that makes sense. It's hard to really argue against that, and then you could see the clear connection to why that would translate to a strategy, and then you kind of ask yourself, I'm curious why no one has done that up until now. And so that's where we kind of feel excited about that. We've kind of surfaced something that was just implicitly felt. Wade?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've known that there are these different retirement strategies, and that's where it's just so rewarding to see how they actually can be aligned with identifiable preferences and then translate into a style that will match to a strategy as a starting point.
So if you can look forward a year, two, whatever time horizon that you have, on this project, what is it you imagine for it? So both you wear a lot of hats, as you highlighted earlier. Is this your masterwork?
That's an interesting.
I know that was a challenging question, but
no. I've always valued. I started off as a film major, so
Okay.
I've always valued jumping around, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time in my life where I've gotten behind an idea, and I've literally said to myself, you know what, I can get behind this 100%, and I would be content, being on this hill. And I've never said that about any other concept, frankly. I just think so highly of it. In my view, 3 years from now, this should be the starting point for, how they say 15,000 people are entering retirement every day? That kind of vibe for the next
10,000.
Well,
10,000 is
peak
a lot.
65 is coming up soon.
That kind of thing. Well, the reality is I really think everyone that's making that transition into retirement should be taking this to be aware of what strategy should best fit their needs. 100%. I think that should be the starting point for any retirement income strategy. Full stop. That would be my ideal. Wade?
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I just recently published that retirement planning guidebook that I was writing for 9 years and thought that was going to be my masterwork. But at the same time that was going on now, just recognizing, really think that the RISA can be a great tool. And if it can become that starting point that everyone, as they're approaching retirement, and they don't necessarily have to be the personal finance hobbyist, but anyone, to just take it as a part of the process of thinking about retirement. And that's a starting point for them then. And yeah, if we could get to the point where every American, as they approach retirement, took the RISA, I think that could be the true masterwork for me, for sure.
Oh God, this was great. I don't know, Ramsey. This is our first two-parter.
Yeah,
I think it was well worth it. I think it did. Yeah, Wade, Alex, thanks so much. This was terrific. We'll put links in the bottom of our show notes. Ramsey, what else? How should we close?
So I just wanted to say thanks to both of you for joining us on the show for this extra long two-parter, for all the work that you have done and what you will do. As much as you've done already, I can see an arc of many other things that will come out of this, including rolling it out to various segments of the financial community. So I want to wish you luck on that. And I would say please stay in touch with us, and we here at the show want to partner with you on this journey. So
yeah.
Put that out there.
No, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Go on, Wade. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, thanks so much for the platform to talk about it, and really look forward to working with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, really
excellent.
appreciate the opportunity, gentlemen. Really.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
of course, hey, we thank all of you who've listened and made this podcast a regular routine. Send us feedback, send us questions, and love to have you on our journey as we keep going. So tune in again next week for another episode of That Annuity Show.
Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend us on iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information at thatannuityshow.com.